Good morning.
Morning.
We have just packed up and we're getting ready to leave.
Yes.
You found a luggage place.
Yes. It's a locker style luggage place rather than the day we got here. It was like a shop.
It was in a bike workshop.
Yeah, a lot of the shops here do numerous things, so take luggage and stuff as well. But this one's like a self-service locker thing, and it's cheaper.
So yeah, we're gonna go do that. Then we're going to just have a little mooch around, try and find somewhere for breakfast, and then just kind of, suppose, meander around.
Yeah, see where the day takes us. There's no real plan today because we've got to be at the airport kind of...
Like 3-ish.
Yeah, so you know what it's like on your last day. It's quite hard to plan stuff, but we're just going to have a little walk around and see kind of what we fancy doing. Right then, update time. So we went for breakfast, as you saw. Nisha only got a croissant though, not that hungry.
Yeah.
And I went for scrambled egg and avocado on toast.
Then we got my rolling pin.
Yes.
And a magnet.
We didn't film in the rolling pin shop though, did we?
No, but you took a picture, so
I took a photo,
we can
yeah.
put the picture in.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of looking around to see what we might be able to do today, and I stumbled across somewhere that I thought you'd love very much, which you will.
Yeah.
It's the Muzeum Techniki.
Yeah, it's basically like the technical museum, isn't it?
Yeah.
Engineering.
So they've basically got loads of old cars and loads of old trams and trains, which is a big passion area of yours.
Just
for his birthday,
old stuff.
For his birthday ages ago, I got him tickets to the TfL depot, which is only open like 4 days a year, and it was one of the best presents he's ever gotten.
It was a great time.
Yeah, so we're doing the same here in Krakow.
Yeah, so let's go and get some tickets and see what it's saying. We should have done one of those, you know, like when you jump in the air and then you land somewhere different, like it's social media from 7 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Too bad I'm too tired to do that.
And we're not in Krakow anymore to do the first bit.
So we're home.
Yeah.
We just thought we'd do a quick outro and I'll wrap up our thoughts about Krakow and everything that we saw. So how would you rate our accommodation?
The accommodation was brilliant. Like, honestly, I think the only place that I've stayed in that I preferred was when we went to Reykjavik, because the apartment in Reykjavik was amazing. It was incredible.
But that was before our vlogging time.
Exactly,
so you don't know of that place.
We
but
will
when
go
we
back.
do go back, we will maybe try and go there or somewhere similar.
Well, you got the dude's number from when we stayed there. Just drop him a text.
Oh yeah, but that was also a 2-bedroom. We won't need a 2-bedroom.
You can do us a deal. Anyway, we digress. Accommodation was honestly, we booked our accommodation a couple of days before we left. Even though we've had this booked for ages, we just haven't got round to. We had the flights booked, I should say. We just haven't got round to sorting accommodation. But it was like plentiful. And yes, we're travelling probably out of season, not necessarily across a weekend, because we flew on a Sunday and came back on a Wednesday. But even so, there were so many choices, and good choices as well. It wasn't like we were left with like crap. So yeah, long answer, but our accommodation was just like so good. Had a little kitchen in there, everything we needed, etc., etc. So yeah,
I'd say like it was a 9 out of 10. Yeah. So long and short of what your rating was, you didn't even give a rating yet.
Yeah, 9 out of 10. It was nice and warm in there.
Yeah, really nice and warm. Yeah. There was balcony, which was lovely.
Telly had Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of that stuff that you could log into if you wanted.
Yeah, I think the one thing was like it like didn't have enough toilet paper. Yeah. Like it was kind of running out of dish soap, and there wasn't anything to like supplement it with. And obviously there was like laundry, like washing machines and stuff available because it was like an apartment hotel kind of thing. But there was like no washing pods. So yeah, like that's the only thing that would knock it down, but it was literally perfect. It was just a really, really nice hotel. Yeah. It's not a hotel, but like a really nice apartment.
Do you know what else I liked about it? I liked there was a lot of mirrors. Full length mirror in the
and
bathroom.
Hooks. That's a big thing that you love.
Hooks, like enough coat hangers for the two of us.
Yeah.
Like just stuff like that. You know, like sometimes you go to a hotel and it's like they give you 2 coat hangers between 2 people, and you're like, well, what am I going to do with these?
And if you're traveling as a couple, they do push 2 single beds together, which I noticed because I was falling through the crack most of the nights. But it was lovely. It was genuinely perfect. Yeah. How would you rate the town, like the sort of vibe of the place?
I really liked it. I think it skews young, but also it doesn't. So it's like there's a lot of like stag and kind of mainly stag rather than hen. I didn't really see many hen.
I saw no brides.
Yeah, but like there's a lot of stag kind of things going on if you're in the old town. But then if you go into the Jewish quarter, it's very like cool.
Very trendy.
Yeah, very cool, very kind of real, as in like, you know, Polish people going out and just socialising as opposed to stuff geared towards tourists, which was, I much preferred that, I'll be honest. But also the old town I do think is a must see. You know, even though you've got kind of like people trying to like get you into places, and if you're male, you will definitely have women and men approaching you trying to get you in strip clubs.
Yeah, that kind of took away the charm a little bit.
Yeah, at night time and stuff like that. But like, I feel like you need to see the old town because like there are so many beautiful buildings there, and it's just a lovely place. I
also think it was just like a really convenient. Like it was easy to walk to loads of stuff. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff around. All of like the carrefours were open 24/7, so it's like you never were like caught short. So that it was just great, and I've said this like throughout, like, but the architecture was really beautiful. Incredible, like it was just a nice place to walk through. Yeah. I think we said like Copenhagen before, where it's like, you know, not all of it looks like Nihan. Yeah. But like going through Krakow, every building was just beautiful, in its own way.
Well, you can see why I think Emily in Paris, they filmed some of the latest season. I don't watch Emily in Paris, but like I saw that they'd been there doing some filming, and I think that speaks volumes in terms of like how beautiful it is as a place.
Yeah, and also like I said before, just the people are so nice. Yeah. Everyone's really friendly, and yeah, it's just a really nice place to be, and it feels really safe. Like I didn't feel like you know, sometimes like when you're in London in a bustling place, you're always like, oh gosh, like keep an eye on my phone, keep an eye on my this, keep an eye on my that. Like, didn't feel like there was a lot of shady people hanging
Obviously,
around.
Everywhere you go, you keep your wits about you.
Yeah.
But like,
it didn't feel like imminent threats were like around. And like, that's comparing it to London where we live. And it's, you know, feels like there's threats around all the time. So it felt really safe. So I'd say like the general vibe is like a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll just knock a 0.5 off. Not just to be different, but also just for the people hassling you to get you in places.
Yeah. That's kind
I'll
of
knock I'll knock a 0.5 off.
And what did you rate the food? Food and beverages.
It's funny because I mean I talk about this on every vlog, but like I'm not really a foodie, so I feel like I'm really poor.
Okay, well let me like maybe bulk it out a bit more, like food, beverages, and like the food and beverage places that they have available, like pubs and restaurants.
Yeah. I would say this ranks really high, like a 9, because they just got loads. Like even, and I say this as a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but also just to let you know, even like fast food places like McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, etc., they have like loads of them, and they're like 24/7 as well. So say if you've been out on the beers and you get a bit hungry, like you do have something. You know what I mean? But like in terms of like nice restaurants, there's loads. Like I can't even begin to tell you how many there are.
It's like quite interesting. Like I love all of the bars and all of like the cafes and restaurants. It's always got like such a cozy vibe, which is really, really nice. I think food wise, I loved the traditional Jewish food that we had. In terms of like the other sort of traditional Polish food, like it was really nice, but I think there's like a lot of intense flavors, like that you've got like a lot of like smoked sausage. It's all very like hearty, it's all very like salty, all very like intense. After a while it's like, oh, like I kind of just want like a yogurt or something.
But you can get those as well.
Yeah, to balance it out. So it's like, obviously, I think when you're going for such a short amount of time, you're like, okay, well, I kind of want every meal to try and be something relevant to the place we're at.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're living in Poland, you're not going to eat traditional Polish food for every meal. It's just not realistic. So, I'd say like, a 9 for me as well.
Yeah.
I think.
Definitely.
It was great.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? What would you rate it for sightseeing?
Again, like
high. I'd rate it really high.
Very high. Like it had, you know, like Wawel Castle and all around there.
So beautiful. It was so incredibly beautiful. Just the grounds itself. Like even if you can't get in to see the castle museum, like inside, like just being around the grounds is really breathtaking.
Yeah. Should say as well, just I don't know the full history of the Polish monarchy, but it used to be where the Polish monarchy lived, because Krakow was the capital of Poland up until a particular point. I don't know the year off the top of my head, but it was the capital, and then it moved to Warsaw after that. But yeah, up until that point, the king and queens of Poland all lived in that castle. So yeah, it was beautiful. So you had that, then of course you had the old town and the park that goes around the old town, which was really stunning. Beautiful. Yeah.
And even just like today, when we ended up going to the Techniki museum, but even just like going on Google, it's like, right, what museums are open? And there's just endless and endless. There was a modern art gallery which I was like, oh, I'd love to go to that, but I thought the Techniki museum might be a bit more your speed.
And that was in the Jewish quarter again, which in itself is a must see, because it's like it's almost like completely different to the old town, in that the old town is like this pristine kind of place, isn't it, where like all the buildings are really pretty, and then you go to the Jewish quarter and like
a bit more rustic.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the bars are like ruin bars, and like it's just the buildings are like rough, but like but still nice in their own way. It's hard to describe, but
Tell
I would
me what
definitely.
a ruin bar is.
Well, it's a bar
Expert.
that looks a bit shaggy. It's like a dive bar, isn't it? You know.
Okay, so for me, I'd say sightseeing again, like a 9, 9.5, if anything. Affordability.
Cheap.
Yeah, I'd say it's like, if you stay away from just like the touristy main town square, it's really cheap.
Yeah.
It's, tickets to the museum was £4 each.
Yeah.
Like a round of drinks for us was like £9. Dinner most nights was 35 quid.
Yeah.
For the both of us. It's really affordable, and I'd say 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
I can't fault it.
There's a reason why stags like going there, and it's because beer is cheap. And not just beer, but lots of things there are really affordable. And I would definitely recommend, if you're on a bit of a tight budget, you got to be smart. You can't go like absolutely anywhere in Krakow and it be like cheap. Like Mish says, if you go to like places on the main square in the old town, you'll be like, oh, well, this isn't cheap. But you don't even have to go that far from the old town. This is the mad thing. From the main square, you can still be in the old town, but just like bars down like a little alleyway, a little alleyway or a little road, street. And it's like half the price. So definitely kind of scope it out and again keep your wits about you. But like if you do that, it can be so cheap. Like when we went to where we went last night, Ariel. Our 2 starters, 2 mains, a red wine and a beer. It was like 30 something pounds.
It was 30 something pounds without tip, and obviously we tipped. So 10 out of 10 for affordability. Transport. I feel like we didn't try hard enough to get on like public transport. Like we didn't get on any trams, because walking, it was
really easy.
It was just close enough to go, right, well, okay, well, let's just walk it. But then with all of that added up over time, it's like, God, I am exhausted.
Yeah. Well, as the travel expert here, I guess, the transport correspondent. I will say I didn't delve too much into it because, like Mish said, we didn't actually take trams anywhere. But there's trams outside the old town walls. So no trams come into the old town. It's the same as like very little cars come into the old, or very few cars come into the old town. They're not allowed everywhere once they come in either. And also, I don't think you can ride the lime scooters and all of that stuff in the old town either. But you go outside the walls, and it's like there's loads of scooters that you can get. They're everywhere. There's like you can get Bolts like that. We mainly used Bolt as opposed to Uber when we were there, and you can get them like that. It's like
really quick.
Yeah.
And they're cheap as well.
Yeah, very cheap. And the trams, like me said, we didn't use them, but it felt like there were trams following each other down the road, like really close behind each other, because it just felt like there was lots of trams.
Yeah.
So I would say that transport is really good there,
Yeah, I'd say like it's not plentiful. Like there's no underground train system, there's no overground train system, there's no it's also like if you're staying in the old town, it is kind of harder to get around. Like if you aren't able-bodied, I think you will struggle. Like I think that's tough, because even if you wanted to get around like quickly on a lime scooter, it's also really hard because everything's a cobbled street, and it's not going to be an enjoyable experience. So I think your choices will only be to get cabs or walk. So I'd say it's like a 7. I think it's like, obviously they don't have underground trains because they don't necessarily need them. It's not that big. So
but it is a really walkable city in that that park that goes around the old town. It literally goes all the way around the old town. It's beautiful just to walk in that park.
But honestly. I mean, again, it's like if you are disabled, and if you're like, say for example, you're not traveling with like an aide or a carer, like it will be really hard to get around by yourself, because like you said, it's a walkable city, which means it's not accessible for everybody. Overall rating,
overall rating, I am going to give Krakow an 8 out of 10, I think. That's where I'm at.
I'm going to say 8.5. I think this is probably one of the best holidays, like one of the best city breaks we've been on together. Like, everyone's been really special, but like this one's just been perfect. There's been so much to see. It's been really exciting. It's also just been nice to go somewhere that, like, I suppose we've not been before. Like, either of us have been.
Not even to the country before,
Yeah, like Iceland, obviously, neither of us had been, but we were kind of with another couple, so it kind of changes the dynamic of a trip. But like, you know, every other place that we've been to, really, one of us has been to before. So it was nice to go somewhere and explore somewhere completely new.
Yeah, agree.
So yeah, that is our roundup of Krakow. It's been so amazing. We'd really recommend going. If you like this video, go watch one of these videos about us maybe going to Copenhagen or going to the boat experience, which we both just described in this outro. And we'll also see you in the next one. We've got one very exciting trip coming up, which we won't say.
It's a biggie.
It's a biggie.
Yeah.
But it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Take care.